Hi, and welcome to the TEAMCPNZ Quick Connect podcast. We can stay informed, keep connected, and learn from each other as well. I'm your team captain, Richard Greer, and today in the show, we're talking with Karl McKnight, who completed the Whaka 100 a couple of weeks ago. Well, not even that, a little bit less than that now. This was Karl's second crack at the race 8 years ago after his first as a young 49-year-old. Karl absolutely blitzed the last 30 minutes, which I think is probably one of the hardest sections of the race when you're completely cooked, and only missed his A goal by a squidgen, which is pretty epic given the conditions on the day with some of the trails. There was walking sections required because the mud from the day before, the 50, and the bit of rain that happened overnight as well. So pretty happy, pretty keen to have a chat with Karl. And also about his journey. It's not just about the ride, what it meant to him to stand on the start line in the first place and actually be able to finish that event so strong. So we're going to chat to him in a moment. So you're listening to episode 21. Quick Connect podcast, number 157 of these podcasts that we've done over the last few years. But before we get to Karl, a couple of announcements. We have confirmed our Christmas party that's going to be held at the Adventure Park. They're going to host us, which incorporates our World Bingo Champs. So it's been around for a few years now. There's been a number of world champions in bingo that have been crowned over the years. Always heaps of fun, and it's definitely a highlight of my social calendar. It's going to be held on Wednesday, the 11th of December, straight after our Wednesday cycle group at 7 p.m. So lock that in your diary. It's always a fun time, and it'll be super cool to be at the Adventure Park this year as well. It's a pretty cool space. And also, just as I mentioned the other week, we've got our TEAMCPNZ members partners benefits card. So if you don't have that, you should. Basically, we've got all sorts of different discounts from Jilbo sunglasses to Pure to all our different partners, Frontrunner, Colombo, Evo Cycles, Tonelli, etc., that you can get as a result of that. So if you don't have that, reach out and we'll fire it through to you and get amongst that as well. So without further ado, we might jump into bringing Karl into the show, and we'll get stuck in talking all things Whaka. Karl, how are you getting on?
G'day, Richard. I'm good. Good, thank you.
That's the story. What a great event, eh? The Whaka 100. It just keeps getting better and better. I wasn't able to make it this year, and I think it's one thing when you're not there, you realise how much you miss it, and what a cool vibe. And basically, I was just living vicarious stories and things that were coming out of the event. So pretty keen to have a chat to you today to how you found it this time around.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. The event's an institution here in town, and just saying to you before we got going into this that it's I'm lucky that I work right in the forest here, so it's kind of in your face as to wanting to do it. And I've been doing the 50 for many, many years. I've actually done the 100 twice before. The
twice
year
before,
I got,
yep. Okay.
Yeah, back in 14 and in 16 after the brain injury. And yeah, we're all a bit embarrassed by a bit of the publicity that's been floating around with the head injury I got that year from cricket, which is more of my nemesis than mountain biking. I get far more injured playing cricket. Just ask my mates. I'm forever in hospital. I've got a permanent booking there. I'm lucky enough. I've only had two big accidents mountain biking that have led me to be in that same institution.
Right.
So it's the event itself is just amazing. It's just great for Rotorua, and full credit to Tim and Belinda and the team and all the volunteers and marshals. It's just amazing. Every year it just gets better. And just little initiatives they come up with, and the number of people involved. It's fantastic. Just love being involved with.
If you were to rock back and I look on, have you still got your medal around your neck?
That's sitting on the table at home next to my indoor trainer. But I discovered this year.
Yeah. Good stuff. It sounds like, so you must play some. Do you still play cricket?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
right. Competitively, it sounds like a pretty more than just your backyard cricket.
Yeah, and I actually started a club here in Rotorua along with another guy called Guys of City. Shout out to them. But I'm still playing reserve grade with my son this year. He's decided that he can't commit to playing at a higher level, so he's playing with me and loving it. But the game is just in my blood, and it takes a lot of time to organise behind the scenes. But I love getting on the field and mixing with the young fellas. Yeah,
good stuff. So is biking your main thing, or is it cricket your main thing, or are they kind of both go hand in hand? Sounds like cricket from an injury perspective is your main thing, but
well, someone asked me that question the other day. What would you, if you had to give up one sport, what would it be right now? I'm going to cop some stick here, but I would say I'd give up cricket. playing, that is. Yeah. I really
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
brought so much joy, and I wish I was into it a lot younger rather than starting when I was 43 out here when I started at Red Stag.
Yeah. We could spend this whole podcast talking about cricket and the recent Black Caps victories and things like that. But but we'll hopefully the boys don't get hold of that one and hold you to account too much. But let's talk mountain biking. You mentioned. Let's just talk about your background for a start. You mentioned that you had a head injury. That's definitely part of your story and your journey in terms of the reason why standing on the start line this year was a really important thing for you. So tell us a little bit more about your background. How does that sort of come about and how did that happen?
The actual incident, that
and
was
recovery from it.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shock. Obviously, the whole process that I went through when it happened. But I never used to wear a helmet playing cricket, which sounds stupid, and it was in the end. And you just caught one in the head that day. And just got progressively worse to the point that I ended up getting ambulanced over to Whaka Hospital and, brain swelling. They were just going to let me recover from that over time and have to learn to speak again. I could hardly speak. I couldn't get my words out. But then 3 days after the incident, all these doctors and specialists turned up on the end of my bed and said, no, we're going to operate. And I just freaked out. I thought I was about to die. Back in that time, because I thought something's not right, and they said, they've just had another look at the scans and decided that they needed to operate because of the swelling around the brain. So that was 2016, and I didn't work for probably 4 or 5 months. Just after I got operated on, but I was back speaking pretty much straight away afterwards. And I still think of it now and think about the stress I put on people, not just me, but my family and everybody that had to put up with me and everything I went through. Yeah. But I ended up, for some reason, maybe I was a bit not quite there, but I decided to do the 100 that year, about 6 months after it happened. And but I didn't prepare. I prepared to a point, but not anywhere near what was required, but it was just it was a goal to tick off to say I'm back living. And and I took a long time to get through the Whaka that year, and
survived, finished.
Survived. I still. The course was different in those days. Similar elevation, I think, but I just I got through it, and it was can still clearly remember it. That it was a hell of a day. But I decided that kind of been doing the 50K every year where you can get away with that by doing a couple of rides, or even if you're super fit or young, just turn up on the day. But asking for it, I just thought, well, now's the time to do it properly, train. And I followed a program back in 2016 that was simple, but I thought, let's get some mentorship and all these guys around work here that talk about FTP and zones. I wonder I thought they were talking some IT language of some kind. I never knew what the heck they're talking about, and just sort of cruised out in the forest, for a couple of rides, 2-3 rides a day, a week out here, and just thought, well, let's try and get the most out of myself, and decided to hook up with you guys and Aaron Hooper that has guided me through the process of getting to the Whaka 100. It's been fantastic. Discovered the virtues of an indoor trainer, and now I'm addicted to it. In fact, Aaron had to tell me off because I was probably a bit too addicted to the races and all of that. Yes. I'm only a skinny guy, so I put out reasonable watts per weight, kg. So straight into a grade that probably I wasn't ready for, but it was good for me. It was just I just love it, and
keeps that consistency up, doesn't it? And rainy weather, and doesn't matter what's happening, you can and it's honest. There's nowhere to hide. Yeah. And you joined us in a couple of their group meetups as well.
Yeah, those are awesome. Meeting more people, that the whole event and joining with you guys as well. It's just hooking up with different people. This don't sound right, but online, through the virtual world, as well as just meeting people on the day of the event and knowing people that have ridden it before, people that are doing different events as part of the whole weekend. It's just fantastic. But the group rides were awesome. Just the different perspective from and working on different things, little techniques with pedaling. I highly recommend that people want to get the best of themselves is to get some more more guidance than perhaps just looking at a program online.
Yeah, nice. And so some of those pedal technique stuff that I kind of keep banging on about in that session, did you have any dark moments? Did that help you through? I sort of talk about that a little bit of when you're struggling and don't really want to be there anymore, because always have a moment of that. Did you sort of go back to that pedal technique stuff that we talk about?
Many dark moments during the race. Yeah. And you just little things that you forget. And big things that you forget too, you just come back to them, and such as your pedal technique. Just stand up a bit on the pedals when you're climbing. Mm-hmm. And on the day, I was doing far more of that than probably what I was doing in training. And I just found that was one of my big worries going into the event, that I hadn't done enough elevation. But you got to trust the process. And Aaron, what he had got me going through on Training Peaks and all the bits and pieces he added to it, that he knew what he was doing, and I thought, I just didn't feel like I had done enough elevation for the day, but that was my real strength on the day at my level. That I was zooming up the hills, and probably I should have brushed up on my actual mountain bike skills a little bit more, because I did have a big one stack in Te Aho Manawa. That was, I put it down to the fact that frontal lobotomy was full of mud, and I should have stopped and cleaned my cleats out, because I had one foot hanging out going down the 2 trails that are soon after that. Mm-hmm. And that's where I went over the bars, but it wasn't at speed. It was kind of just, I walked over a drop over.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So, but technique is also important. Not just your straight out fitness that you work on. You've got to
that's right. And
do that,
And that, like, there's the pedal technique, but there's also the actual riding the forest, and that's as you mentioned, like, you pretty much work in the forest, which is pretty amazing. And there's a lot of people who are very jealous of you right now to actually be able to do that. But how do you find the trails technically? Like, you get to ride them on a more regular basis. How do you go around and is that stack a regular occurrence? It doesn't sound like they know your name in hospital, so you can't happen too often.
Not really. I'd get my fair share of cuts and bruises, but in terms of big ones, I mean, I was very careful through this years to keep away from stuff that was more inclined to have a big accident. But most of the per capita kind of accident traffic is in the inner loop, as they call it. It's just, so it can happen anywhere. Speed's your friend, but the trails themselves are just amazing. They're forever evolving with the harvesting that goes on, and we're really lucky to have this facility out here. It's awesome. So I try now that I've got another event coming up soon, so I'm trying to keep a bit clear of some of the more technical stuff. But I love the challenging myself. But I need, I'm also conscious of what I do it for, and I don't want to put myself in hospital again. But sometimes it happens.
It's that balancing act, isn't it? The fun and the excitement comes when we're close to the edge, but obviously not over the edge as well. They want to just stay on the right side of that edge to be able to push yourself to the right point. It's interesting just talking about trails and the forest and things. The Trails Trust do an incredible job up there. I was just talking to Tim earlier today, Tim Farmer, the organizer, and he mentioned, how are the trails after obviously all the traffic that went through them, but they're pretty much in there the next few days, and they're all sort of back to zero again as they go through and maintain things. It's pretty awesome.
It's amazing, because I drive past the car park down there every day back and forth to work, and it was basically like it hadn't happened. 2 days later, there was a couple of marquees that were there the following day, but they're an amazing crew, what they do to make this event what it is. They do a fantastic job.
Yeah, that's awesome. So were you nervous on the start line? How were you feeling about that bright and early Sunday, the 27th of October, when it was time to press go? How was that? It's rude to not be nervous, but I'm not a morning person either. So that was something that Aaron was trying to get me to do was do rides a little bit earlier, and indoor stuff was pretty good for that. But the morning of the event, I was super nervous but very excited. Yeah, it's just a great combination where you think you've done well, apart from that thought that had I done enough elevation, you still feel confident that if you've done the right work, then you're going to enjoy the day. It's going to hurt. You got to push yourself too if you're wanting to achieve something. But I was super nervous but relaxed in the point that I didn't realize what wave I'd put myself in. And in the end, there's a little strategy there which I'm going to always do, is don't overrate yourself. Yes.
Yeah.
So can you share that you were the rest of us? What was your strategy on the
Well,
start line?
I was in wave 4, and
Yep.
and I probably should have been in wave 3.
Yep.
But what that does is just provide a bit of room to get into the single track at the start, not
Yep.
because this is such a big turnout. It's
So
naturally what's going to happen. Yeah.
You're at the start of wave 4, so you can get off the start line and get through those first wiggly trails without too much traffic. So it's much better to be at the start of wave 4, the slower wave, rather than the back of wave 3, because you're going to have the traffic in front of you. And when you get out of those first wiggly trails, you kind of be starting to catch up with the back of wave 3 reasonably quickly anyway, were you?
Yep, it's exactly what happened. And yes, there was another guy that took off. Forgotten his name now. And yeah, we were just cruising at a speed that was comfortable without getting blocked. And I don't normally like to go too quickly at the start, but I was probably going a little bit more quickly than I have in other events. But there was just plenty of space, and then it wasn't till where there was room to pass people and what have you. That it was always a positive feeling too. That when you the old competitiveness gets in, and you pass someone and you see someone ahead of you, and it's just, I'll get that person. And I don't recall, apart from this other guy who I was catching him up the hills and he was beating me down the hills, that anyone else that kind of passed me.
Okay.
If you can get past the ego of perhaps crossing a line later than people that you've actually gone faster at the end of it.
Yes.
What do you do? But and also, of course, seeing the water jump at the end too. Of course,
I was talking about the start, middle, and end. So we'll just jump straight to the end, which is the key part of the course. I'm sure on the list with our podcast stuff in the back end, I could probably drag out my actually it's just here. There we go. There's my effort on the water jump. If a few people have seen that, that was year 1 when I didn't really know what it was all about. Everybody's seen that more than enough. But how did you go? I hope you did better than I did.
Yeah, I seen it, and as I say, and I was pretty happy. Apart from the other side, I always have a goal of getting up that wet route that's on the other side, but it was pretty slushy by the time I got there. But no, I did it well, I thought. And you don't want to. Well, it's fun if it's at the end of the event. So if you break yourself with a bike or whatever, you're just around the corner.
You just walked to the finish with your bike in bits, all wet.
But no, I did it. I was pretty happy with how I went over the water without doing anything silly.
Yeah, good. So I didn't get the crowd what they came for, but exactly what you needed. That's awesome.
There's actually a video floating around of it too that my mate who did the 50, he took a little video of it. So there's proof about it.
Proof that you made it. Yeah, I like it. That's good. So how did your day unfold? Well, you mentioned that the last half an hour was on fire. How did you sort of pace yourself around it, and how did it unfold for you?
Yeah, I was a bit worried about the nutrition. That's another thing that Aaron was really worked on with me to make sure that it's some sort of shakedown events that I went to, and just training that I was going to have the right food in me, because I went through a period of all my mountain biking where the nutrition that I was using was really good, and I sort of never used gels. But I went back to gels and other food during the event, so that really, during training and during the event, was important to getting me to a point towards the end of the race that I felt really strong. Throughout the race, you go ups and downs, and you think about all the climbs coming up, and mentally it's a mental battle as well as physical. But as long as you're doing what you're prepared for, that is eating and drinking wisely, it's always a difficult one. I see Tim's maybe copped a bit of flack with the aid stations, but it is what it is. You only can. It's what you're left with, and you plan around it. And with the main aid station being where it was, that it was well organised too. So well organised when we got there. They had someone radioing back the numbers so that boom, the bags are there right in front of you, and helping you. Swap over. I swap Camelbacks and another bottle of Carbohydrates special drink, the whole day revolved on doing that, to not necessarily to a perfect schedule, but I had little notes written on my bike that helped me make sure that I did not forget to eat and drink all the time, and take a gel every so often, and power bite, and got to the other stations at 60 and 80k. Prior to that, trying to look at those as goals to get to see how I felt. Got off the bike, and that was where I needed more water. So my carbohydrate bottle which I didn't actually carry any straight out water with the way I did it this year. That's another story about why not. But from that point past those aid stations, I thought, well, there's not very far to go, and I'm actually feeling far better than I thought I would, far better. So I just looked at and I wasn't being too closely guided by my A and B goals that I have written on my bike.
Yeah.
But I thought, even though at the start I was way ahead of it, but that's because there's not as much climbing. It's just based on average, k's per hour. Yeah. But then towards the end, I was a bit behind, but I was well ahead of the B goal. So I stepped on it, and in my little world, and I very nearly got that A goal, and I just forgot about the drop uphill trails that were. I thought, oh, that's actually gonna, not a short amount of time to get through that. And I forgot that you had to climb that little climb there, the number of climbs before you hit Rosebank. So, but I was to me, I was thrilled with what I ended up doing.
So, what was your time, and how does that compare to what you've done in the past?
It was 8 hours and 2 minutes, and
good job. And the goal was
the A goal was breakout hours. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So close.
And then it doesn't worry me. Well, they took out Tio2 Ariki at the top, which was I was very happy about, because I was not looking forward to that trail. It's very technical. It's a cross-country trail, but it's got very, very rooty. But we still did a fair bit of climbing to make up for that. But that goal of 8 hours was my top goal. The conditions weren't easy. As I say, the mud and frontal lobotomy we had to deal with, and so that meant it was kind of treacherous a little bit the next few trails. So that, if you allow for that, I was very happy. Good on you. The C goal was surviving, and
tick that as well. That's good.
So I was happy.
And that was about an hour faster than what you've done the 100 before, was it? Is that right?
In 2016, it was over an hour faster than I did it that year.
Brilliant.
At 14, I was going to look up the results and just see. I think that was it was more like 8.5, something like that. But I was 43 then.
So what we're trying to determine here, and I think this sort of comes through on this podcast a few times, is that basically you've still got it, Karl. You've so you're still on top of things. It's good.
Well, I'm happy in my own little world that I push myself to a point that I'm competitive enough to want to make myself do better.
Yes.
All the time, even though I'm getting older. Every year. I'm probably getting quicker, but
and that's motivating as well, isn't it? That's fun. I've got this week graphic that I put up for most people as well, as the toast graphic. How toasted were you when you got to the finish line? So number one is burnt toast. I've completely had enough, and you can sell my bike, versus number 9, which is only lightly toasted. I probably didn't try hard enough. Where were you in the mix of things?
Initially, probably blacker than 1, but it's just amazing. Like a couple of minutes later.
Whoa. Okay.
No, that's probably not right. But I was pretty toast.
Okay.
But I'll go with a 3. There's room for more, I think.
Okay. Well, I'll be happy with a 1.5 or a 2. But that's good. Maybe me telling you that to sell your bike is maybe a little bit tough. But that's.
Well, now that you say that, I am selling my old bike, because I was waiting for a new bike for five months. That was pretty popular, and that didn't come into the country till the 2 days before the event. So I didn't ride my new bike, and I thought, too much to get used to, change.
We'll save it. Yeah. So do we need are we buy, sell, and exchange moment here? If anyone wants a really fast mountain bike, there's one on the cards. It knows its way around the forest.
Oh, it's done its time in the forest, that's for sure. So yell out if you want an older cross-country bike. Well, it's not that old, but
no, that's awesome. So not so keen to sell your bike, but know you've given it everything, and that's the key thing, I think, when you get across the finish line, isn't it? You've put it all in. There's nothing more I can give. Just let me lie down here for a moment or two.
Absolutely, and enjoy the beer and a recovery drink, and the people that had supported me that day, and obviously my wife's had to put up with me for the last however long it's been. I've been training for this, but Paul. My mate Paul and Trisha, who Paul did the 50 the day before, and he was chuffed with his effort. So they were there. Paul was there all over the place on the day. It was fantastic. It was just such a good feeling at the end of the day.
Yeah, good stuff. Was where to next? What's the next event? You mentioned you've got something else coming up.
Yep, Whaka at the end of the month, which is the first time I've done 100 Ks down in Taupo. I've done back when I did the 100 Whaka in 14 and 16. They had the what was it called, the Whaka Challenge, which was 82 Ks, and then they hadn't done the long one in the last few years. But this year they've brought in a 100K event, which starts at 6 a.m. in the morning. So that's going to really challenge me, that one.
Out of bed, nice and early on the start line, dealing with your breakfast and all those good things.
So that's the 30th. So I'm kind of, Aaron said, a week off, which I kind of did. And I'm doing a little bit of Zwifting this week. I'm doing the tour of Britannia online. That's been fantastic. Before getting back on the mountain bike, and I still haven't ridden my new bike yet. I just it's looking pretty in the garage alongside the bike I raced on the day, which hasn't been cleaned yet. So it's still sitting there, so that's and kind of relaxing, but eating a few pies and that sort of stuff these last few days.
And that's good, isn't it? You need to do that just mentally to give yourself a bit of a break, to want to sort of get back into the swing of things. And nice that you don't have to rush to clean your bike straight away either, but also you got your brand new bike ready to go and have some fun on.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well done, Karl. That's fantastic. Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Well done on a fantastic effort, and thanks for sharing your story as well. It's pretty cool from where you've been in your journey to be able to go, I'm enjoying riding my bike and I'm pushing the boundaries and I'm still improving. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. No, thank you, Richard. Thank you to Aaron and all the team for having me on board. And I recommend it that they hook up with a coach, and you guys did the job for me. Yep.
Good job. Well done. Excellent. I'll look after yourself, and we'll look forward to catching up with you soon, Karl.
Thanks, Richard.
Okay. Well done. Talk soon. Just like that, just another one of the epic humans that we get to work with at Team CP. There's so many good people like yourselves out there doing stuff, challenging themselves and having a good crack, and it's pretty cool when it actually comes off at the end as well. We had quite a crew at the Whaka 100 this year, which was awesome. Unfortunately, there's a couple of guys that I got sick and weren't able to kind of do what they should have been able to, but I'm sure that they'll be back and getting themselves right again for next year. But well done for all of those involved, everybody that went out and rode and enjoyed the adventure around the forest. And as I say, a big well done to Tim and Belinda, who put the event on and do a great job of really bringing the vibe and the fun factor into mountain biking, which is pretty awesome. So look after yourself, keep in touch, keep me posted about all your adventures and things that you're up to. And until next time, look forward to catching up with you soon. Cheers, team.